What is happening? My name is Brock Adley. I represent Brock Adley Real Estate. We do real estate transactions for both buyers and sellers out here in Boise, Idaho, but we don't do just that. We dig a little bit deeper. My particular business can dive into construction, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. I have about 10 years of construction knowledge, starting with my undergraduate degree from California State University, Chico, where I received my construction management degree. In that time, I built about 500 units of multifamily, including 400,000 square feet of tilt-up warehousing, laboratories, science buildings, student housing. If it could be built, I have some knowledge in it in some way, shape, or form. And so today I'm going to share that with you through the process I call NAIL, which is something I'll get to in a minute. But frankly, the first step of any construction activity is actually going through the plan review or the plan flip activity, which is essentially pre-construction is what they call it, right? So in this process, my goal is to be as clear as I can with my sub-trades and giving them the appropriate information to give me, the right amount of information back so I can budget the construction effectively. And so if the design is not jiving so well, it's a good use of my time to go to the designer and kind of talk about these things before we take the project out to market, because what we don't want to do is exercise trades on pricing activities when they know they don't have enough information and they have an opportunity to make money doing other things. So when you get their attention, you want to make sure you're really prompt with it. And so this page turn activity is what we do to ensure that. So as I'd mentioned before, NAIL is the framework that I use. So starting with the N, which is needs assessment, okay? Then we move into the A, which is assemble resources, and then the I, which is implement construction, and then L, which is log completion. And so today, being that we're just going to start with the N, needs assessment, which is essentially us asking ourselves, like, do we want to proceed forward with this? Is it complete enough for us to be like, yeah, we can make something happen with these drawings. This makes sense. Or that change order doesn't look like a change order to me, right? So we get to have a question, an interpersonal dialogue that actually helps us understand, like, where are we going with this activity, right? Which is critically important with construction, because the construction industry is dynamic, it's fast, and there's a lot of things going on at once. And so being able to quiet down that noise so you can be effective with your time and understanding where to put it is really critical when you're managing a bunch of trades. Okay, so diving into the drawings, I always start with the architectural. So here we are, architectural sheets. We got building B on the left, building A on the right. We've got 28 units, it looks like. So first floor is 6, second floor is 4, third floor is 4. Looks like there's this like weird little parapet thing. There's split systems or some sort of mechanical stuff out there. Whatever. Kind of a weird use of space, but that's how they designed it, right? So I know Plan North is where the parking lot, facing is the parking lot. So now I can get into my civil drawings. And so what I do here is I always analyze our utilities first. And so this drawing package, unfortunately, didn't have a utility plan, which is always a problematic activity to me, because it's like, we probably want to know where the utilities are going, At any rate, I went out here and I just kind of sketched with these blue lines here where the utilities are and like how they're intersecting the building. So they weren't shaded initially, or they are shaded initially. And like if you look, the black stuff is representative of actual construction activity. So we're getting our elevations for our drive aisle, and then I think we've got some inverts perhaps for storm drains and things like that. So I can tell you by where the blue is here, that's where the water is supposed to come into sight, which is kind of like typical. And then when we get into the building, looking at the plumbing drawings, it'll shed more light on this. But one thing that I would bring up for this activity is like we have two intersections into the main line for the water. I'm not sure why we wouldn't have two. I want to reduce the frequency of hot taps because I would assume this is city water. They're not going to shut it off because I would shut water off downstream for other tenants or other people with buildings downstream of this one. So you have to tap in when the water is live. They use a hot tap to do that. I want less hot taps because the risk of the hot tap leaking or something bad happening in that condition happens. And I want to reduce that. So that would be a question I would have for the designer, but that's not the point of this activity today. So now we can go inside. We know where the building or where the water comes in, so we can go to our mechanical sheets and kind of understand more of what the plan was by the design group. So in the plumbing sheets, we want to verify first we're on the main floor, domestic water, plan P101. And we're going to go up here and verify our orientation, right? So in this sheet, I know that plan north relative to the architectural and the civil sheets is on the right side of this page because of where the stairwell is. So the assumption is that the water line is going to come in over here to the right where I marked in blue and presumably stub up underneath the slab into this mechanical room. Okay, this is probably a fine activity in residential. Oftentimes in residential, out here in Idaho, we do continuous footings, oftentimes with the raised foundation. So like this isn't the wildest idea ever. However, with this particular delivery, this is slab on grade. And the problem with this condition is that in the event this water line were to break, we're in Idaho, right? Freeze thaw happens all the time, right? Water breaks do occur. They're not frequent, but they do happen. And what I would suggest to the owner is that we would relocate this line or change the orientation of that mechanical room to reduce the risk of that, because that's a significant risk. One, because it's hard to fix, and two, presumably that water line is going to be a fairly large diameter water service line because we have fire suppression, landscape, and domestic water for 14 units. And that's enough water to wash away and create like downstream effects for the footings and the structure of the building depending on when you catch the problem, right? And so to eliminate that risk, I would just reorient some things or just change how that water gets into that mechanical room, okay? And so that's what we do when we do a page flip is we find peculiar circumstances like that, and then we raise our hand and ask for more information from the design group so we can reduce our risk as contractors or owners, right? And so that would cover the in portion of my framework. So that is the needs assessment. We just made a quick question and now we need an answer, right, to understand how we're going to do that. And then we would move on to assemble resources and probably route that a different way and have the design team log that in on a change to the drawing sheets to show a different routing that we would then deliver to the field. And that's essentially the process. And we do that rinse, wash, repeat for every area of the building so we can get minute in this delivery framework, or we can go 30,000 foot view like I did today. Okay, so that's what I do. I sell real estate, I build it, I help developers, I do all of these things to assure that everybody is getting the greatest value out of the real estate transaction that they are getting themselves into. And then, of course, there's the residential activity as well. But I hope that it's helpful to you guys because ultimately, when it comes to commercial real estate, multifamily, the biggest thing is that we want to reduce risk to the best of our ability. And going through activities like this really help do that. And And so what I'd ask you to do is like, share, subscribe, do all of those things, of course, but please comment if you agree, disagree with my perspective on this particular activity. Please let me know in the comments. I mean, ultimately, exercise your freedom. Get in there, even if it's an unpopular thought, or maybe you think it's gonna, rub me the wrong way. I can assure you we'll be fine. I've got enough construction experience under my belt to deal with it accordingly. But thank you for making it to the end of the video, and I hope you follow me, and I'll bring you some more content in the future, all right? Take it easy.